It's time for another musical interlude. Let's get started. Talking with people with music in their genes, their blood, and in their soul. You are watching Musical Interlude. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Musical Interlude. I'm your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is Izzie from Izzie's Caravan. Let's get this show started. So, tell us the youngest age you can recall yourself discovering your love and your talent of music.
Oh wow, that goes back a long way. I think it. Uh, I can still remember being a kid, and my dad was really into rock and roll, whether it's Pink Floyd or Dire Straits, and stuff like that. So I think that sort of really rubbed off on me. Sort of, very young, impressionable, and when you hear that at such an early age, so it obviously has such a profound effect on you. And uh, and I think that's when my sort of fascination with the guitar even started. It was just like, wow, man, this is something that I would really like to do at some point in my life. But I guess back then I knew, listening to those records at such an early age, kind of figured out this was going to have some part to play in my life, and it still does, So it's pretty cool that way, yeah.
And when did you first acknowledge that you would start or at least try to go after your dream of being a musician? Many people have dreams, but they don't go after them. So, what was it that, when did you first realize this was something I was going to do? And what would you say you think was the encouragement to do it and not just talk about it?
Um, Definitely when I got my first guitar. Um, so and obviously at that point I didn't even know much about guitars. I just knew that this artifact has something really special aligned with it. So much so when I bought my first guitar, I didn't even know that it was actually a bass guitar, right? So when it even showed up in my house, I was just in awe looking at this thing sitting in my room, rather than knowing what to do with it. But yeah, going through your terrible uh, rock star phase in high school and stuff, you know, playing really bad music, but thinking you're a legend in your own mind, right? So, so like I said, it was fairly constant, but I guess it wasn't until you know, when I was at university and stuff, and I met Sim, who's our vocalist now, and we started a band. This was early 2000s, and so we ended up releasing a couple of records, demo CDs and stuff. But then we sort of took a long hiatus because I just didn't like the stage, and I didn't like how music was going. Um, it was, so there was that sense of disillusionment, but that sort of passion in you never dies, right? And I guess it's one of those things where I could not put it away for such an extensive period of time. I knew that I was going to get back into it at some point. So last year, last year and a half, couple of years, uh, really awesome in terms of getting back into the music and releasing all this stuff.
Cool. So, when did you first go into the studio or start performing? And what how did you know exactly how to get into this as a business? What steps did you take? Did you ask for help? Did you read a book? Like, what did you do to get into the business, and how did you know where to start?
Uh, I save every dime, dollar, penny, to, and everything I do is, I keep a day job, and that day job funds my evening recording activities, so to speak. So I set up my own studio. I've got my own place. Uh, Put a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into setting that up. Got my guitar connection. And once I sort of set it up, I knew this was, these were the kind of toys that I liked to sort of keep myself busy with, and that sort of process of learning things and that quest for actually trying to master some of the things in the sense of learning production the coolest thing I think is that using the word mastering it, I don't think you can ever master the instrument or some of these production techniques or whatnot. So the process of learning that is lifelong, and um, it's something that every day is a new adventure, so to speak. So I set everything up myself, self-taught. Uh, you know, got all the gizmos and the gadgets. Especially now, everything is so tech oriented, which kind of makes it easier. And I know there's that sort of debate about how organic it actually is, but even with all this technology, I think you can make it as organic as you want it to be. So yeah, that way it's been great. So, like the effort in itself is 100% self-sufficiency.
Talk about Blow the Lid. What or who inspired that project?
Blow the Lid is when I write, obviously being inspired by the blues and stuff, I tend to ground my music in some sense of realism. So I usually get heavily inspired by what's happening in the world, what's in the news, because it's always it's such a downer watching the news. So I figured, hey, might as well put a musical touch to it, so to speak. So anyway, so Blow the Lid is, again, it's just one of those moments of truth, I guess, where uh, it's it's a sense of frustration, and it's a sense of anger, and a sense of disillusion with what's happening in the world around us. And I think one of the biggest tragedies is the death of truth, and and frankly speaking, Blow the Lid is just an exercise in truth, and calling a spade, seeing how things really are, and not having any compulsion or hesitancy to not speak the truth, and to call out things the way they are. So whether it's education or politics, or that's what it just came to me, and I just started writing it, and then the next thing you know, it's out there on the radio.
So most artists, well, all artists at some point in time shoot, whether they're writers, painters, singers, at some point they have to display their work at a festival, at a expo, at a gallery. But unfortunately, during this past year, artists have had to find new ways to display their work, or maybe use this time to create more work. What exactly have you been doing during this lockdown time?
Oh, it's just been writing, recording, through and through. 2019, we released Leo's Guitar, which was our first EP. Then we quickly followed that up with Zephyrs. Then On the Pulse. We literally had 3 EPs out last year. Then obviously we couldn't go on tour, and then we couldn't play live, and we were sort of gearing up for that, but that clearly didn't work out. So we go back and start recording more stuff. And so with this Below the Lid album, this is a full-length album, and this is coming out in June of this year. So the initial plan, which was actually going fine, was we'd release the entire album one song every month. But then COVID hit home. So Rocky, our bass player, he actually got it. And we sort of had to take a little bit of hiatus in terms of recording and stuff. But we're back. So yeah, it's it's being sort of more handcuffed in a way to just keep writing, recording, releasing, writing, recording, releasing, which in a way was fun. I mean, at least having music is very therapeutic, right? Especially nowadays, being stuck at home and can't really do much except for try to keep yourself busy. So that way, yeah, it's just been writing, recording. I mean, it's gonna go on, I guess, for a while till we release this album, and hopefully things get better. We can, hopefully we can go do some shows.
So Blow the Lid has just been released. Are you an artist that puts all your focus on a new release, or are you an artist who is always constantly creating something new in the background?
Oh, that's a great question. Once it's out there, once, for example, that's the second I saw it on, if I record something and I see it's on Spotify or something, that's it. Then it's not in my control anymore, right? So as an artist, you sometimes feel this sense of helplessness. It's like your child growing up and leaving home, like, and you just wish them the best, and So yeah, after Blow the Lid, we've already wrapped up 2 more songs. In fact, one of them we just wrapped up today. So yeah, it's just go at this point. Just want to get this out by June. Yeah.
All right. So my last question for you today, a fun question. If you had the opportunity to, and this is a pretend question, so the person you mentioned, or 2 or 3 people, whoever's on your mind, you mentioned they do not have to be alive, nor do they have to be well known. But if there's a musician out there, or a singer, or a music producer, anyone in the music business that you would like to collaborate with, maybe do a project with, who would this person be and why?
Yeah, Johnny Winter, definitely. I would have just loved to see that guy. So yeah, Johnny Winter, definitely. Buddy guy for sure. But sometimes I wonder if I ever got the chance to collaborate, then like probably I'd just be in so much all of these guys I probably managed to play. So, but yeah, definitely Johnny Winter, Buddy guy. Clapton would be awesome.
Thank you for taking the time to watch. I want to thank my guest, Izzie from Izzie's Caravan, for taking the time to share his journey with us. And you, the audience, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Have yourself a great day.